When Adolf Eichmann, one of the main figures responsible for organizing the systematic killing of millions, was put on trial, he said that he was just following orders. This thought is frightening. This is the kind of statement that makes you rethink the idea of evil. It transforms evil from being the work of a small minority to a product of the vast majority. Perhaps evil is what happens when people stop thinking for themselves and just obey the orders of others. If so, the capacity for evil lies within all of us. This is the context in which 1Milgram conducted his renowned experiments on obedience. It's a chilling experiment that reminds us that with the ability for great good comes the ability for great evil. To really understand the Milgram experiments, it helps to split it up into two tests, the fake one and the real one. Let's start with the fake one. There are 3 participants, the experimenter, a teacher, and a learner. The subject that Milgram was studying was always given the role of teacher. The learner was an actor that was in on the experiment. The actual study was disguised as a fake study that was said to be testing the effects of punishment on learning. Specifically, they were testing the effects of administering electric shocks on a learner's ability to memorize a list of word pairs. For example, green flower or couch potato. The subject was tasked with teaching the learner this list. The subject would go through the list once and then read off one of the words in a pair. If the learner guessed the word correctly, the subject would move on to the next pair. But if they guessed incorrectly, the subject was supposed to administer an electric shock. The shocks went up in 15-volt increments all the way up until 450 volts. There were also corresponding labels indicating the intensity of shocks ranging from slight shock to simply XXX. The real test underlying this fake one was to see how far subjects would be willing to go in administering shocks before they stopped. At the shock level of 300 volts, the subject would hear the learner pounding on the wall and begin refusing to answer. A second pound was heard at 315 volts. This test was designed to put the subject in a tug-of-war between obeying their own morals and obeying an authority figure. If the subject began hesitating, the experimenter used 1 of 4 prods to get him to continue. They ranged in intensity from simple requests to orders. The results of the test were shocking. 65% of participants administered the maximum level of shocks. All participants obeyed until 300 volts. Various forms of Milgram's experiments have been replicated several times and continue to produce similar results.